We want to first start out by looking to see what an inequality looks like graphically when we go to graph it. Do you remember what the shape of a quadratic equation looks like?
Parabola.
Looks like a parabola, right? It's a
Wow,
U.
good job.
Is this parabola facing up or facing down?
I'd say facing side.
Is it smiling or frowning?
How do you know?
Is it smiling or frowning?
Frowning.
It's not frowning. This one is a smiley one. Why? Because the x squared is positive, right? Okay, so now let's think back to solving quadratic equations. So just pause for a second for your notes. I'm going to pop Desmos up here.
Is this something where you have to shade?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
All right, so if I use Desmos really quickly to graph this, what was it? Minus x minus 12?
X squared minus x minus 12.
All right, so there's your just basic parabola. What do we notice about the solutions of my x-intercepts?
They're all numbers.
My x-intercepts are at 4 and negative 3. If you think back to number 2 on your warm-up, how did we solve that? X squared minus x minus 12 equals 0. That's factorable. X minus 4, x plus 3. Right, gentlemen? So what are the solutions?
X equals 4.
And?
X equals negative 3.
So 4 and negative 3, right? So that's when your graph is equal to 0 at those specific points, right? But now what happens when we put an inequality in place? Do I have a greater than or less than in that example? I forget.
You had a greater than.
Greater than, okay. So now if I turn this into greater than 0, what just happened?
Everything greater than 1.
Whoa. Where is the shading happening? On the outside. I can't zoom out because my vertex is way down there, I guess. So we'll just stay here. So notice, there we go. My shading is occurring to everything to the left of negative 3 and to the right of 4. Now if I thought about this as a number line, what would be the interval to the left shaded region? Negative infinity to negative 3. Would that be a bracket or a parenthesis? Bracket, because it's including it. And then my right shaded would be what?
4 to positive.
4 to positive infinity. And would it be the union of the two?
I forgot that.
So the union is saying it could be from this or from this, right?
Yeah.
Those or compound inequalities. Okay, so on our notes, let's quickly make a rough sketch of what this looks like. So if I asked you to do this graphically, I want you to roughly, and I say roughly, make a sketch. Oops, come back, here we go. So make your coordinate plane. When we solve x squared minus x minus 12 and equal it to 0, we factored that to x minus 4, x plus 3 equaled it to 0, which got me the solutions of 4 and negative 3. Are you listening?
Yes.
So these represent your x-intercepts. So then all I would do on my graph is I would put dots on my x-axis at positive 4. So I would count over 1, 2, 3, 4. Put a dot. I would put a dot at negative 3. 1, 2, 3. Put a dot. And because this quadratic is smiling, I would just kind of do something like this. Okay. Now I'm saying rough. If we had to actually physically do this last year, probably in Algebra 2, you would have had to have shown that your y-intercept is down here at negative 12, so then I would have to plot all the way down to negative 12. So when I say rough, all I really care about is where your x-intercepts are. So just make sure you put them in there and make sure your graph is going the correct way. Okay, so now we have our solution area is everything on the outside. because that's what my Desmos graph showed. Now, if we think about nice ordered pairs and do tester points, 0, 0 is a nice tester point. If I plug in 0 up here for x, what do you get on the left-hand side? Negative 12. Is negative 12 bigger than 0? No. That's why I don't have shading occurring in the inside, right? So that's why it has to be everything on the outside. So how do I put that graphically? Well, it's everything but the parts in between negative 3 and 4. So we're going from negative infinity to negative 3 bracket. Actually, no, it's not a bracket. Why is it not a bracket? Am I including 0 in my solution? No. So it's a parenthesis. Union, parenthesis 4 to infinity. Okay. So what do you think would change in our graph if I flipped the sign from a greater than to a less than? Where would your shading be? Right, it would shade the inside of it. So if I jump back to Desmos here really quick, because it will let me do that easily. If I change this to a less than, notice that it's now shaded on the inside. So now what would be your interval of your solutions? It's everything between negative 3 to 4, right? So if we make a quick sketch of that in our notes, so let's do the less than version of it. So x squared minus x minus 12 is less than 0. So now we're flipping the sign. My x-intercepts are still going to be at positive 4 and negative 3. Just make my, oops, that was a really bad u. Make my u. Because it's less than, it's going to be everything in between. Again, if I pick that tester point of 0, 0, plug in 0, 0, is negative 12 less than 0? Yes, it is. So that's why the area inside is your solution area. So now we're going from negative 3 to 4 as our answer, an interval notation. If that was an equals to, then I would have brackets there, right? If I had equals to bar in my inequality sign. Okay, so now how do we do this algebraically? So here it was graphing, which was easy to see it just by using Desmos, because I could just plug it in there and see where my solution area is. So if we solve it, we won't go through all this, let's just do it. So solving the same inequality algebraically. So no graphing involved. But kind of keep the graphs in the back of your head because it kind of holds true each time. So to solve an inequality algebraically, the first step you're going to do is take away the inequality sign and set it equal to 0. That's step 1. Then solve it. So this will be the third time we're doing this. So this factors to x minus 4, x plus 3 equals 0. So my solutions are 4 and negative 3. Okay, we should be able to solve any type of quadratic equation because that's what we did in the beginning of the chapter. So step 2, I'm going to now put them on a number line. Make yourself a number line. Put your smallest number on the left. So out of 4, negative 3, my smallest is negative 3. Put your largest on the right, which is 4. So now what I've created is I've created 3 different intervals. I have an interval here that I'm going to label interval A. Oops, that's very thick. Let's tick a different color here. There we go. So interval A, which I have highlighted in green. You have an interval in the middle, which is red, interval B. And then you have a third interval, which I'll make blue, which is to the right, which I will label interval C. Does everybody see the 3 different intervals?
Yeah.
Now, how would those look like in interval notation? This one would be negative infinity to negative 3. The middle would be negative 3 to 4. And then the right would be 4 to positive infinity. Okay, so step 3 is pick tester points. Now the beauty is, as long as 0 is not one of your x-intercepts, use 0, 0 as your tester point. Okay, because if it's, your options are, it's either going to be B, or if it's not B, then it's going to be A and C as your two solutions. Because you can think back to our two graphs. It's either shaded in between, which would be that B interval, or it's shaded on the outside, which would be the left and the right. Do you guys see that? Yeah? Okay, so let's test 0, 0. So test an ordered pair, preferably 0, 0 if you can. If 0 is an x-intercept, then you can't use 0, 0. And plug it in. We end up with 0 minus 12 greater than 0. Negative 12 is not greater than 0. So which interval does 0, 0 fall in? A, B, or C?
B.
B. So 0 falls in B. So it's not B, which means it has to be A and C for your solutions. Oops, writing on top of myself. So now write it out as your answer. So step 4, write your intervals that it would be. So it's going to be the union of negative infinity, it's about infinity, to negative 3, union 4 to infinity. That should be in all one line. I don't have enough space. Okay. Okay, again, technically we're not testing 0, 0. We're just testing 0 because we're on an x number line. See how that works?
Yeah.
If it would have been less than, then I would have ended up with negative 12 is less than 0, which is true, which means B would be the correct solution. So then that interval right there would be my correct answer. Okay? All right, so let's try another one. 2x squared plus 3x is greater than or equal to 2. So step 1, write it out as an equation, and then solve it. So I'm going to move my 2 over. So I have 2x squared plus 3x minus 2 is equal to 0. What would you guys do to solve that? Would you try to factor it? Would you quadratic formula? So it is factorable. Negative, most of them will be factorable. Factors of negative 4, that get you to 3. So you do 2 times negative 2. Jay and Charlie. And that'd be 4 and negative 1. To get you to 3. Put it over your leading coefficient, which is 2. Simplify. So that 4 over 2 turns into 2 over 1. That stays negative 1 over 2. So that factors to x plus 2. 2x minus 1 equals 0. That's just the trick for how I factor instead of doing guess or check. So your denominators get attached to your variables. So 1x plus 2, 2x minus 1. So my solutions are negative 2 and 1/2. Yeah? So then step 2, put it on a number line. Put your smallest on the left, the largest on the right. So we've got 2 intervals. You've got interval A, interval B, interval C. Interval A in interval notation would be negative infinity to negative 2. Interval, oh, this would be a bracket, wouldn't it? So that's the equals to. Interval B would be bracket negative 2 to 1/2. interval C would be bracket 1/2 to infinity. So now, option 3, can I use 0 for my tester point? Yes, test x equals 0. 0 lies in which interval, A, B, or C?
C. B.
B, right? Between -2 and 1/2. So if it's not true for this, then it has to be true for A and C. If it's true for B, then it can't be A and C. All right, so plugging in 0 back into your original. So 2 times 0 squared plus 3 times 0, is that greater than or equal to 2? So is 0 greater than or equal to 2? No. So is B the solution? Nope. So if it's not B, then it has to be the other two. So it has to be A and C. So your answer is -infinity to -2 bracket union bracket 1/2 to infinity. Okay. And it will always work like that with quadratics. It's either going to be the middle or the left and the right. And if it's the left and the right, then you have to write it out as a union. Okay? All right. Well, what happens if we have special cases, such as this? 2x minus 3 squared is greater than -1. Yeah, so you could use the square root property and solve that out, but what happens when you square root both sides? What happens to the right side?
Isn't it like an I?
It is going to be an I. So does that mean you're going to have any real x-intercepts?
No.
No. So if I go back to Desmos, does everybody have that written down? Can I use flash out of there? Actually, let me type it in while I have it up there. 3 squared. All right, so right now, is that what it was? Greater than? Yeah. So right now, look at my graph. What's happening?
It's infinity.
It's everything, isn't it?
Yep.
So isn't it true that whenever you square a number, won't it always be greater than -1? Yeah. Because if my x-intercepts are imaginary, meaning they don't exist, if my x-intercepts don't ever exist, then it's just always going to be all real numbers. How do I write all real numbers in interval notation?
Is it infinity to -infinity?
Well, -infinity to infinity, right? So this will always be the case. Whenever you square something, it will always be greater than -1. If it was the flip of that, is there any way for it to be a -1?
No.
No. So what do we say for that?
No real solution.
Yeah, or just no solution. You can just use a no solution symbol like that. Okay. All right. So for your homework, we didn't get to the one with 3, but we can get to that tomorrow. I do have a worksheet for you. You're going to attempt to do these algebra